This session is called Joining Together for Better Care. The aim of this session is to really focus on the care of patients with rare disease. Fiona's already told you a little bit about what it is that I do. My job is a bit odd, it's a bit different from some of the other patient organisation groups out there. I am employed by the MPS Society, which is a charity that supports patients with very rare metabolic conditions. I'm based in Belfast. I have a contract with the Belfast Trust to provide support from a medical perspective to the patients, and I also work cross-border and provide an advocacy and support service for patients in the south and attend their clinics down there as well. So I really have first-hand experience of how working together across different disciplines, across different borders, really does work and makes a massive difference to patients. So the aim of this session is to really focus on better care. We are going to hear real-life patient stories. We're going to hear about the role of patient or health professionals, new technologies and how better communication and the use of new technologies can support better care of patients. And then we're going to finish off by hearing from three individuals who are representing a patient organisation, a couple of different patient organisations, to hear how they have worked together to build the patient organisations up by joining together and working together for better care for their patients. So I am not going to keep you very long in the interest of time, and at the end for the Q&A we're going to ask the panellists from the last session to come up, so if you have any burning questions for them from the last session, you'll get a chance to ask those at the end, hopefully. My first person I want to introduce is Mr. Michael Holden.
Can you all hear me okay, yeah? Ladies and gentlemen, before I go into my speech, I just want to go off message because an awful lot has gone into organising today. And when I heard about the house being reconvened on the house, up on the hill, it made me cross. And as a patient, I had to write a letter to all the MLAs with reference to on the runs. On this day, you as a body began another round of bickering and posturing about the same old tired politics of tribalism. Like on so many other occasions, for so many other constituents, you forgot about the devastated lives of those who get shoved to the margins by this continued nonsense. Today you stole from this occasion, you stole from me, and you have stolen from my family and everybody else who is living with a rare disease. You stole away the media, you stole away democratic representation as you scurried off up to the hill, and you have tried to steal my voice. Your apathy towards the real issues facing our community is no less an act of terrorism towards any one of us and our families as we face pain, misery and death. The impact is just as real and just as painful. The only difference is that I'm not living in the past, I am the present. Each and every one of you are also on the run, and I hope your conscience will one day get you to stop running and be remorseful for the wasted opportunities. However, this is no get out of free jail letter for you, for one day you will be judged for your petty games. You will, I hope, be ashamed of how you contributed to terrorising my life, the life of my family, and the life of many others, and that justice will be served upon you. Yours sincerely, Michael Holden. Good afternoon, and thank you for letting me talk to you today. Having a disease and going through so many health service and other professional bodies, we're always being asked to label ourselves. I have a rare disease which causes my disability. I have motor neuron disease. You must forgive the next picture because it stripped me down to the bare. I'm white, I'm a man, I'm ginger, I'm fat. But being in Northern Ireland, my biggest disability is being English. I was diagnosed with a rare disease on the 15th of December 2010. Classed as a rare disease, pre-Christmas was not an ideal time to have been diagnosed. Most of the health service was closing down for holidays. It was at this point I decided that I could get angry or I could keep positive about the situation. And I have to say that when you spend the majority of your day at the same level at which people break wind, it's always better to remain positive. This I always try to maintain, but it does not prevent me from being upfront with my healthcare workers about my expectations of the level of service I expect from them. However, it was my route to diagnosis that concerns me the most. I attended my GP in September 2010, who was concerned about my symptoms and referred me for an emergency neurological appointment. This was within 2 weeks, and I duly attended the Royal Victoria Hospital for a consultation. The consultant told me that I needed further tests, but that there was a substantial waiting list and I would be called back in several months' time. I mentioned I had private health insurance, and I had those tests that very same afternoon. I was diagnosed and receiving medication long before I'd have been called back on the NHS, simply because I could pay. A fact of life may be, but when it's a real life and not just mine, because it affects the life of my wife and children, then this situation is a genuine tragedy. Unlike many others, I realise that there are budgetary pressures to contend with, but what I fail to understand is why politicians don't have the nerve to be upfront to media onslaught about necessary changes, seeing money being wasted on drunkards and riotous yobs in accident and emergency, and watching legal battles being fought on moral issues, and then telling dying people that there's not enough resources is simply a scandal of our time. Place me beside a yob and ask the public who is most deserving, and then make your budget allocations. I'm not saying don't treat them, but what I'm saying is, if they're doing it themselves, make them pay and speed up my essential services. I realise that many of you out there will be rushing to say why those options aren't possible, but then again, you don't have to live with a rare disease. Walk my path and then consider giving me your excuses. Looking at the positives though, the services I do receive from the health service are pretty good, but they could be better if they were allowed to use simple technology. Things like email on the move. All of my health professionals tell me that it's for patient confidentiality reasons that they aren't allowed to use mobile technology. Well, I have a terminal illness, and my list of priorities, someone hacking information, isn't anywhere near the top of my agenda, but reaching my healthcare professional most certainly is. Having a rare disease is a fight in itself. Being excluded from society because access is seen as a have-to option rather than a like-to option. The built environment and public services are difficult to access. The government don't want to support us, and they don't want to improve the world for us that we can support ourselves. It really is very hard to win. If it wasn't for the voluntary sector working within our field, both medically and in the built environment, then disability would be considered the new apartheid. We might as well be black in 1980s South Africa, and that's everyone that partakes in that, even subconsciously. Given the right opportunities, it is possible to get out and enjoy the world. Here on the island, we can experience all kinds of activities and experiences. Later this year, we're hoping to showcase some of these at an event called Disability Pride, taking place in Belfast in September. Having support from the wider community and being part of society and not being forgotten, and helping to change attitudes. We have a rare disease, often leading to disability. We want to live our lives with dignity, not be pigeonholed and not be placed on a conveyor belt to the grave. At my opening, I told you about how I was often boxed, but I would like to tell you about how I describe myself. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a friend, an employer, a fighter, a taxpayer, a worker, a Christian. I'm an active human being. I'm Michael Holden. I'm alive, and I'm planning to keep it that way. Thank you.